Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm an illustration student, and this is my sketchbook that I worked on between the years of 2019 to 2021. I have experimented with multiple media, ranging from gouache, watercolor, pencil, and collage in here. And due to the sketchbook being with me for 2 years, it also shows my art, how it has progressed through those years. I use this sketchbook on and off because I mainly work digitally, so this is my space to explore and run wild. The sketchbook is a Canson 180-degree art book with a mixed media paper. And what I really like about this sketchbook is that, as the name goes, 180, it opens up all the way to be completely flat on the table due to its bookcloth spine, which made it a lot easier to work in and create continuous spreads, while with other sketchbooks that might have a hardbound cover or a spiral bound, it might not be as easy to work with because it's not going to open up flat or it's going to be in the way of, your arm. So this was actually a pretty perfect sketchbook for me. And I decided to decorate the cover with some stickers, so I am just gonna go through those. The first one is a cloud pixel landscape from 8 pixels. And then here I have a star-eyed shepherd drawing from the Hungarian folktale by my friend. And then this last one is from Art by Liquid. I hope I pronounced it right. And this is from their 2020 Inktober zine that this was just included in. And it's super cool. It has like a holographic effect for the eyes. And I just really like it. And then for this last one, I have these cloud ones, which are from Michaels. And now let's get started with this sketchbook tour. So I'll move that candle aside. And here's the first spread. So first pages are always kind of hard to start because it establishes the rest of the sketchbook. So I wanted to do something easy and not overwhelmingly hard. So on the left side, I have objects from Wes Anderson's Moonrise Kingdom. They represent the two main characters, Susie and Sam. So I kind of just picked these objects that they carry around or really establishes of who they are as the characters. And I was also inspired by this poster that I found on Instagram where this person made little tiny pieces of these objects and then they photographed them and they made like a mock-up poster of it. So that was really cool. And here I have a gouache painting of a tree that was in my community college and a lyric from Sufjan Stevens. And here I have a Polaroid of a creek or a river that my friend and I visited a while ago. I have this drawing of this art student here that I did with Posca pens and Copic markers that I just cut out and I pasted in here, that I did during a history class. And then here I have these eyes that have like different shapes for irises. There's nothing special about it. And I was really into Steven Universe around this time, so I drew Pink Diamond and some background redraws here from the show, and I actually really enjoy Steven Universe's backgrounds because they're so magical and just really soft. So I did these with gouache and pencil, and I also added Change Your Mind, which is one of my favorite songs from the entire series. Here I was messing around with some more collage work, so I cut out this orange ad from a magazine, and then I have this orange branch that I did with gouache. And I also have this Polaroid from this orange stand here in Orlando. and I added this like orange paint swatch behind it that I like to collect from Lowe's and Home Depot. So it just adds like an extra pop of color to my page. I just really like them. This is kind of a random page where I was coming back to, so I drew something and then I just moved on and I just came back for it again, and I kept just adding new stuff to it instead of just sitting down and finishing the whole page. So these are just like collections of drawings. Here I started with this like angel, biblically accurate angel, I guess, with Posca pens and fine liner, and I have gouache paintings down here. And then I was experimenting with alcohol markers and Posca pens and how they would look together with this eye. And it's honestly one of my favorite parts on this drawing with the prima donna girl above it. So I really like how it turned out. It's kind of a messy page, but still cool. And I have my original character here, Elijah, who I don't really draw that often, but I should. It turned out pretty cute. And then here I was doing more of the collaging, so more paint swatches in the corner. And then I cut out this like character, this angel character, then I added some stamps here. This is just like a pink spread. I have this ink wash of this girl who kind of looks like Draculaura. It's not supposed to look like Draculaura, but it turned out pretty good. I was just messing around with ink wash because I was doing that for class, so I just wanted to like try it at home as well on like a smaller scale. And then here I have some Moomin doodles of Snufkin, Moomin, and Little Mai in a teapot. Because I'm very into that show. It's one of my comfort shows. And on the other side I have Moomin Valley with the Moomin house. It's a gouache painting, but the colors look really rough. That green is very ugly, but oh well. Here's a drawing that my friend did, and then the first and only jockster I've ever done to test out these new gouache paintings that I got. Which are actually pretty good. I was using them on this midsummer painting as well. The paint itself is really good, but the way I was mixing colors at this time was just not great. So some of those colors are really washed out, and then this green is just like yucky. So I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like how Dani's face turned out, and it's her as the May Queen, because I liked Midsummer at that time. Here's a sad attempt at a sky painting. I was trying to I think I just found this Pinterest photo, and I was just painting one of those. I could never get that pink color in the sky right, so it just looks kind of bad. And then here's an architecture page where I was just drawing I think it's a church, I'm not sure, but the background is really bad. This paper was not handling watercolor well at all. Here's a Posca pen page, so I wanted to experiment with Posca pens, and here are some shoes that I drew with the 5 or 7 colors that I have, and then this portrait of a guy's back that actually turned out pretty good. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with this. It just looks really colorful and it's really nice. And I also added this picture up here of flowers that I took, and I also have little Posca doodles on there too, and some washi tapes. Here I was drawing some drag queens. I think they're from season 7, so it's Max and Trixie Mattel. They were my favorites from that season, so I just drew them. They turned out pretty okay. I think some of the proportions are kind of off, but no, they're definitely off. But I don't know. I like the colors. It's very stylized. I like that Trixie Mattel, how that one turned out. And, that outfit is pretty cool too. Here's another Moomin page, because I was very into Moomins, still am. So I have just like these two little drawings. One is a screen cap of Moomin in a field, and then I have this little like description of a thimbleberry under it, and then a snuffkin with like a quote underneath it. I think it's from a comic or the book. Here I have a painting, a gouache painting of a nice sky with some flowers on it. And on this other side I have this clown that I got from my partner, so I drew it. And I also pasted these little flowers in there that I scanned in from a book, and then I just printed them out and cut them. I think it turned out pretty cute. Here I just wanted to do some swatches of my paint palettes that I have, because I've never done that before, and I thought it would be a good little guide to have them on paper and just to reference in the future of like what kind of paint I want to use. So I have all of these watercolor paints down here, which is interesting to see that like you can even see the quality of how some of these look like some of the qualities are better than others. That's a metallic watercolor paint, and then up here is my Himi gouache that I got at the time, and then that became pretty much the staple gouache paint that I use even to this day. And here's a little self-portrait where I have like a little objects around me that I like, and it says let's get inspired. Here I was just kind of doing all kinds of stuff. So I have a little pencil portrait, and then I did this pencil landscape, and then I have some flowers up here, and then I have this like marker drawing of a person with a plant head, and I have a Cave Town quote because I really liked Cave Town around this time. And I have this like stamp that I got from Target, and that's where I tried it out. Here I was actually watching a lot of sketchbook tours, and one of them really caught my eye, which was Mappetee's CalArts sketchbook tour, and they did this like block painting of a building, and I really liked it, so I wanted to try it out myself, and actually turned out pretty okay. I kind of like this. I'm gonna do it again with like this like block technique. And here I have some cats because I wanted to draw more animals. They're fine. I like the cat. Here I have some lemon heads inspired by Cave Town song Lemon Boy. These are nothing special, really. I just used watercolor and then some colored pencil on top of it. Okay, so full honesty here, I think this spread is honestly the worst one in this entire sketchbook. Nothing on this page turned out how I wanted it to. Most of the times when something doesn't work out, I usually just take it out, but with this one, I already had a drawing on each side, so I didn't have that option, and I was too lazy to paint over it, so I kind of just kept it. I also think it's kind of important to show when something just doesn't work out, and that's literally what sketchbooks are for. So I just really wanted to showcase that sometimes things just don't work out in a sketchbook, and that's totally okay. So let's just go through here each of these drawings. So here I have this terrible gouache painting of a beach that I don't even know what happened here. Like, it's just the colors are so wrong. And then to kind of balance it out, I added these swatches of watercolor gradients, which also kind of failed. And then I did this challenge where you put random blobs of color on the page and then use an ink liner to make a form out of the blob. And honestly, these are all super horrible. Like, none of them really turned out how I wanted them to, but especially these two at the top. Um, this one I just completely abandoned. That was the first one that I started, and I did not even finish it. I think maybe some of these at the bottom are a little better. I use a different liner for the bottom ones, but it's fine. Let's move on. Even though the page before was kind of messed up, it actually created this super fun background for this page, so I can't be too mad. And I decided to have these little plants, and then at the bottom it just says I want to grow things. And on the other side, I think I was covering up something here, so I did this portrait painting with this garden in the background. I honestly don't know what was behind it, but I'm sure it looks a lot better now than it was before. So it's kind of hard to see, but it looks pretty okay. So back in 2019, I visited my friend in Montana, and that was actually my first time flying alone, which was kind of scary but fun at the same time. So I decided to do this study of one of the pictures that I took there, and I added an actual photo on the other side from the time we went to a hot spring. And I also added the water label that I got from the airport because I thought it was a fun little memento. And I hope I can visit Montana again because it was so beautiful and I would love to see more of it. For this next spread, I kind of did like this ocean theme with this little sailor boy and these tropical fish that I've done with Posca pens and fine outliners. I honestly just had a lot of fun drawing all of these fish. So this was around the time when the pandemic hit and Animal Crossing came out on the Switch. So I drew my first outfit when I started at the game. I don't have any glasses because the shops didn't have it at first, and then one day my dad was playing with the game and because he wanted to try it, and he actually got one from a gift balloon, so that was pretty funny. And here I have the original group of animals that I had when I first started my island, and it was actually called Cloudberry, so I just named this the Cloudberry Gang. So I had a pretty cute little crew, I think, and I kind of just did this drawing to commemorate them because I feel like you kind of forget who your original villagers or islanders were. So this was just a cute little commemoration of them and to show who were the OGs. And because we were in a pandemic, I had a lot more time to draw. So my goal was to finally finish the sketchbook. And I was looking at ways to film my sketchbook, and one of them was to do Ghibli background redraws. And this page actually ended up turning out to be one of my favorites in this entire sketchbook because the whole layout just turned out really nice, and then especially the painting on the right just turned out exactly how I wanted it to. And it was honestly just a great practice to polish my skills in gouache. So I have a painting from Arrietty, Totoro, and then I think this one is just a random background, but it was part of the Ghibli collection, so I'm not exactly sure if it's part of a movie or if it was just like a painting that they did. Here on out, I also just wanted to treat my sketchbook as kind of like a journaling space where I could put my thoughts and feelings down. So here's kind of just this jumbled up page with all kinds of stuff on it. So here we have a unicorn girl that I done with watercolor. And I also have these little peach doodles and strawberries. And I wrote, "What is happening? Am I dreaming? I hope so." And I also decided to finally give a name to my star character, so I'm calling him Ashtaina. And down here we just have this like fun little doodle of this jacket that I found online that was really cool. It's like a sailor jacket that says board on it. But I found out that Dole Skill was actually the one selling it, so I was like, never mind, not buying it from them. So I just did this stupid little drawing of it. Up here we have a Nintendo Switch that says, "Will this keep me sane?" because I was playing a lot of Animal Crossing. Here I have a spread inspired by cherries. So I drew this toad or frog who is a cherry picker, and I did this with gouache and colored pencils, and I think I lined it with some liners. And on the other side, I actually saw Lee Alexson use this transfer paper to draw on, and I thought that was pretty cool, so I gave it a try and I painted the background green. Then I used black liner and pencils to doodle on it, and here it says, "Can I offer a cherry in these trying times?" So I thought that was pretty cute. I also wanted to redraw some older characters from years ago to see how they changed. So I decided to redraw these boys that had these cool little outfits, and I also gave them some cool tats as well that kind of reflect their personalities. And I ended up liking it so much that I turned it into keychains that I sold at one point. After the Ghibli page, I also saw someone create a master study as part of their fill in the sketchbook prompt, so I wanted to attempt it myself, but with Van Gogh. So I painted the sunflowers with gouache and used some pencil on top of it to create this kind of like messy rough texture on top, and I think it turned out pretty good. And then on the other side, I kind of just did this collage page with a bunch of different things like Polaroids with the paint swatches. Here is another just little doodle page where I kind of just decided to draw whatever. So I have my little star character here again with colored pencil. I have a goose, a little teapot down in the corner, and this little house landscape with a daughter lyric on the side because I really like their music and I was just listening to a lot of their stuff back in that time. And I was also eating a lot of grapes and crackers, so I decided to just draw them as well. Pretty cute page. Here is a spread inspired by birthdays and porcelain. So I kind of just gave myself this prompt and I ended up drawing whatever came to my mind when I was thinking about these two words. So I drew some items. Here's a little doll, cake, and then these balloons. I actually really like how the balloons and the cake ended up turning out. So those are my two favorites. Another redraw page. I just took these drawings that I did years ago and then I decided to redraw these characters. So here are two cats, and then here's an original character that I was drawing a lot back in the day. I really like how the ruffles turned out, and whoa, look at that metallic paint shining. It looks so cool. Alright. Here we have a strawberry and herbology spread where I painted this boy using gouache paint and then added these little strawberries all over using different materials. And on the other side, I painted the page black and I added all of these herbs on top of it that I also labeled. So these are just different types of herbs that I found on Pinterest and I painted them with gouache. Here we have a page that is inspired by seashells and childhood wonder. So we have the birth of Venus over here. It's kind of like a master study, but more in a stylized way. And I added these little wild roses around her. And on the other side, we have this little boy who's collecting seashells. And I ended up painting these seashells that kind of look like those like shell-shaped chocolates that I used to have at my grandparents' house. I don't know if that's an Eastern European thing or not, but they were pretty good. And here, I think this was the only spread that I fully painted in the sketchbook. So I kind of just have this meadow or field with a shepherd and his sheep. I like how the landscape itself turned out, but he kind of looks rough. I think the proportions are just not really great. Here I was just practicing some patterns and experimenting with color combinations. Everything here I did with gouache, and there were also these leftover colors that I watered down, and I kind of like how they turned out, so maybe I'll use them for a future piece. This was supposed to be Brian Deckard, but I totally butchered his profile. The colors actually turned out pretty okay. Like, I think they're actually pretty accurate to how the picture looked like, but his side profile was just not looking great. I'll probably try to attempt to draw it again eventually, but that's how it is. And then here I have a tree from the backyard and this light pole from a tennis court nearby our house. And then down here I have all the interests that I abandoned from childhood and my teenage years. Here I just drew some tickets inspired by vintage tickets that I found on Pinterest. And on the other side, I have this skeleton torso with tracing paper over it that I used to draw little flowers over it. I think it turned out pretty cute. I was really into this tracing paper thing, I guess. There's my star character again with a different outfit, and on the other side I have this Lady Gaga lyric from Rain on Me because it was really fitting and I was really into her music at the time. And here I have a little beetle guy that I did using rainbow pencils. And then here I have my lemon character that I did using the same technique with the watercolor and the colored pencil, like how I did the heads. And this was around the time that I was very inspired by Jamie Green and how they drew their characters with long limbs. And just in general, I really like their color palette, so I did some drawing inspired by their work. And on the other side, we have this little doodle page of Summer Camp Island characters. And I really like how the Susie turned out at the bottom. She looks so angry. And I really love this show. It's one of my other comfort shows. So if you really like Moomins, I highly recommend it. And I am so freaking upset that they took it off of HBO Max because now I have nowhere else to watch it. But oh well, I still really like it a lot. My family and I stayed at a cabin during the summer in North Carolina, so the next couple of spreads are from that time. And I was sketching a lot outside, and here are some snippets from that. I was also reminded of my childhood when I was exploring a lot in nature and collecting leaves and pine needles. So I kind of just wanted to include those little doodles that kind of represent that. And on the right side we have this landscape sketch that I did of the porch of the cabin, which was next to a creek. And then down here we have a rock that was next to that creek. and some leaves, and I have this butterfly that I wanted to take a picture of, but I couldn't, so I made a character out of it. And here I have this tiny little mushroom that had a little bug on it, which was incredibly cute, and just a random princess who's running away. And then here are some drawings that I still did at the cabin. And then this one I did at home after getting back. I did this movement screen grab redraw of Nini, the invisible girl, using alcohol markers and pencils. And then under it is a wild goose that was just hanging around the cabin, and my family and I named it Ludwig the Majestic, which I totally misspelled, but that's okay. And here I painted this with gouache, and it's an inn that was on our drive up to the cabin. So every time we left the cabin to pick up groceries or to go to a different town, we passed this, and it was just too magical not to paint it. So here I have a random page again. I have some of these little doodles on the sticky note up here that I did on a phone call. I have a sticker from my friend pifclown on Instagram. And then here I was actually covering up a really bad kind of ink sketch of a girl that turned out awful. So I have this like Ghibli style cloud here, landscape thing, done with gouache, and then here's another rough gouache painting of a beach. And up here I have a thank you note from Jamie Green when I ordered a print from them when they were still selling stuff. Another collage page with a photo I took at the park I work at, a plant drawing I cut out of a book, and on the other side there's these random doodles of flowers that I took inspiration from different botanical books, done with, I think it was done with Muji pen. For this page, I did a little comic of my star and moon characters, which was to remind me that things get better, and it's always good to rely on your loved ones when things get a little difficult. And then on the other side, we have a pen drawing of my messy desk. I always see these in sketchbook tours, and I wanted to give it a try. And at the bottom, I just have like swatches and random plants down here. This is a drawing of a cosplayer who cosplayed Chucky, and I thought it was very cool, so I drew them. I actually didn't watch Child's Play at the time, but I finally did this year and I really enjoyed it. And this one is a landscape of a snowy mountain, which didn't turn out great, but I think the blue helps the flow of the spread, so it turned out okay in the end. This is a gouache painting of some trees, and here are some drawings from Al, aka Little Star Nerd, who did this like page for me when we met up for an art picnic. They're so talented. Go follow them. Another doodle page. These are just some random characters and some stickers on the side from various artists and just random stickers that I got from like orders. This page I did while sitting in a car, so some of these have like very rough edges, but I think overall it turned out pretty cute. And this apple guy I actually drew again digitally, and I turned it into a sticker because I thought he was really cute. So yeah. So this is where we turn to 2021 officially. This is the first page that I've done in 2021, and it's my New Year's resolutions, which some of them were more successful than others. Obviously, the YouTube one didn't happen until now, so that's kind of embarrassing, but hey, I finally did. And that's what matters. I, of course, have new resolutions for 2023, which will hopefully be more successful than the 2021 were. But overall, I do really like making these, and I do think I'm going to make them every single year just to keep myself in check with my goals and all of that. So for this page, I pasted in this Arches cover paper that I painted this portrait on of this lady inspired by Hungarian folk clothing. And I wanted to practice some figure drawing here, and I really like how this line drawing turned out. The pencil one is okay. Here I wanted to draw a street view because that's also something I've never done before. I wanted to do the whole thing with gouache, but then it just wasn't working, so I did the black line work on top, which helped a lot. So I'm overall pretty satisfied with how this turned out. And on this side, we have little mushrooms done with pencil, which I use the mushroom books to reference for. I have some more doodles here. So I have an apple, a clown, a sticker from pifclown again. And on this page, I have some little ink drawings I did while I was procrastinating on an essay I was supposed to write. And it's just random things I would rather do than write that essay. So it's just random stuff around my room and my desk. Here we have a little raccoon with a cookie. I don't know why he is blue, and this lime green jacket is also kind of weird, but overall he turned out pretty cute, and maybe eventually I will draw him digitally too, but right now he just looks like this. And down here I have this little flower, and here I just have this random girl that I did with markers. I feel like I should have made more contrast on the face because it's not really showing super well, but I really like how these plants in the background turned out. Here I did another orange gouache painting, but I wanted to play around more with that and put some in the foreground and push some of them to the back more. So it's kind of just this like jumbled up orange tree. And here I wanted to experiment with using Poscas for shading like how I did the figure, but for a portrait instead. And it kind of didn't work, or I don't know, it might just be her features that are not super accurate, but it was definitely worth a try. Then I wanted to do more screen caps because I really enjoy it with the Ghibli and the Moomin ones. So I picked 4 movies with amazing cinematography and overall just movies that I myself enjoy. So here at the upper corner we have Moonrise Kingdom, Life of Pi, Snowpiercer, and The Martian. So the left ones I don't really like, but the right ones look so good and they look pretty accurate. And I think I was just struggling with the colors here, like picking the colors out, which is one of the biggest reasons why I want to do more traditional painting, because it really makes me think of color theory and how to get that exact color I'm looking for by mixing the paint to match what I see on the screen. So this kind of screen cap redraw really helped me with gouache painting and just, color theory in general. And for this page, I asked people on Instagram to suggest me things to draw, and these were some of the prompts. I really like the Stargirl roller skating and the little cat in bow ties. I think those two are my absolute favorite, but it's overall a really cute spread. So there's this account on Instagram called Still Here, Still Life, and they post a still life every week for artists to draw. And it's honestly super cool because they share the artist's work, and it's a perfect opportunity to practice still lifes. So I just went through their page and picked out 4 of them that I liked and did them with different materials. So this one is with gouache, pen, rainbow pencil, and at the very bottom we have one with Posca and colored pencils. And I really like how this overall spread turned out too. This is a bird spread where I wanted to paint some Florida birds on a dark background, like how I did the herbs drawing. So we have a red cardinal, great egrets, and one on the farthest left is a sandpiper, if I am correct. And this is a leaf that I found around here, and I just put it in here because I thought it would fit the overall vibe of the spread. And yeah, I am pretty happy with how it turned out. The red really pops with the black background, which is cool. Here I attempted architecture again, but this time I did it with a brush pen instead of a fine liner. And on the other side I have a cottage, which is a little skewed and wonky because I was painting on a porch on a swing, which didn't help with getting the perspective right. But you know, we are trying this architecture thing, and at one point we are gonna get there, but these two weren't it. But you know, overall I like the spread because I feel like the flow is nice, and at least everything is filled up. So yeah. Here's another request spread where people give me more suggestions. And these are honestly one of my favorites to do in a sketchbook. And I just really love this mushroom guy with a goose sweater and this cloud character in little shorts, which I also turned into a charm because I loved it so much. And I think it's my favorite on this page. So here I did some portraits, and they overall turned out pretty rough, especially her face, but these two down here with the brush pen are pretty okay. And on the other side I have this gouache painting of this dress that turned out honestly amazing. I'm really proud of it, and it was incredibly fun to do all the ruffles in the fabric. So here I was kind of getting lazy in the sketchbook, so I did some random doodles to try out this pen. And here I wanted to use alcohol markers in a more painterly way, so I did these lily pads. I was pleasantly surprised that it worked. It was very hard though because you can't really layer on markers, so whatever you put down is going to stay there, so it was overall a little bit difficult, but it turned out pretty okay. This is a collage piece where I painted some paper and then I put it together. It's nothing special, just to fill a space. And here I have my star character with the rainbow pencils again. And he looks pretty cute here with the little flowers and mushrooms. And yeah, I just really like drawing him. Okay, so this spread might be one of my favorites other than the Ghibli one in this sketchbook. And I have this Posca pen flowers here where I only used Poscas, so no pencil, no brush pen or anything like that, and it turned out pretty cool. I really like the limited color palette of it and how the colors kind of pop. And then there's this bird and the cloud painting that is actually done with Holbein because I finally got myself some Holbein gouache paints. And down here I have a little house. For this one I painted this little teapot that I found on Pinterest, and honestly I really wish I had this teapot. It's so stinking cute. And I just added these random little doodles on top of it. And then on the other side I have Elijah again, my original character, but it's a portrait of him with little stickers on his face and around him. And we arrived to the last spread in this sketchbook. Here we have a Posca pen, drawing of a tree, two ladies dancing, and a little chicken at the bottom. And for the very last page, I have this screen cap from Ghost Story, which is a movie very close to my heart. And honestly, this screen cap turned out amazing, and I think it's a perfect finish to this sketchbook. So I am very happy with how this last spread turned out overall. So if I remember correctly, I finished this sketchbook around 2021 October, and I also have some random stuff back here that I collected throughout those years. So this is pretty much my 3 years of art journey documented in one book. I do think this sketchbook showcases my growth as an artist and shows a more messier side of my art. It's not perfect, and I still have a lot to learn when it comes to many media I tried in here, but that's exactly what sketchbooks are for, to make mistakes, experiment, try things out of my comfort zone. And especially with me doing digital work most of the time, keeping a sketchbook brings me back to how I started with little doodles on the page. So thank you so much for coming on this journey with me and watching me flip through the sketchbook and just rambling about all the stuff I was creating throughout these years. And have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!